Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we got something real special for you. We have Mr. Jeff Hampton, a criminal defense and asset protection lawyer out of the big old state of Texas. And he's going to tell you and explain to you how he has leveraged YouTube to really just blast away and grow his law firm like heck. So welcome to the show, Jeff. I appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to share with our listeners.
Well, thank you, Ken. I appreciate you inviting me to come on. And I always love talking about YouTube and growing and marketing. So we'll have some fun.
Okay. So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself. I like to tell people, tell me your story. How'd you end up where you are now?
Sure. So early 2000s, I graduated from law school, started off as a prosecutor, 5.5 years in the district attorney's office in Fort Worth, Texas, and spent some time there trying cases, got 100 jury trials under my belt. Felt like it was important to have some trial experience under my belt. So I then left, started my own law practice, which had been Hampton Law. And then eventually I partnered up with my current partner, Brandon Fulgham, to create Fulgham Hampton Criminal Defense Attorneys. And I played the original game of just, hey, let's do SEO. And it worked really well. You know, SEO, of course, we know the landscape on that's changed significantly over the years. I did the SEO, the organic stuff, and did a little bit of ads. And we were able to grow the business. We scaled the law firm. You know, we went from just him and I and one assistant to now we've got 7 lawyers, 20 staff members. We've got a pretty well-established criminal practice. But the pandemic changed everything for me. And so, you know, I found that there's 2 different kinds of people during the pandemic in my experience. One were the people who just sat around and watched Netflix and waited for everything to try to change. And then there were other people who took that moment of silence and that time of kind of quietness and said, what is it I can do to fundamentally transform myself on my personal growth journey on what I'm doing? And that led me to YouTube. I started to kind of look at things and I said, hey, everybody's trying to do things the same way. All of the attorneys are in the same pond, all fighting after the same amount of food here. And you don't end up getting much and you're fighting against bigger players and all this that happens. I looked over at YouTube on the other hand, and within Texas, I really only saw 3 or 4 criminal lawyers. And most of them were doing it wrong. I mean, they were creating vanity videos, 2 or 3 minutes long, bragging about how good they are and all these, and no one watched them and no one cared. And so what I started doing is I sat down and I said, where are other business owners using YouTube and just crushing it? So I started looking outside the legal realm, and I noticed that people were doing, you know, giving lots of value, longer videos. And so what I started doing is I sat down, and they're terrible. If you go back to my channel, if you go to Hampton Law, my old videos are awful. But I will tell you what they did. I'm going to give you one illustration here. One of those videos I did about 3 years ago was an aggravated assault deadly weapon video. Okay. Now, you know, it's like 10 minutes long or less, 8 minutes. I treated it like a consultation. I looked directly at the camera and act like I was speaking to my customer avatar, the guy that comes in that I know, that I talk to, that's got all these frequently asked questions. He's going to ask the same stuff over and over again. And he's wanting to know, do I have hope? I've got pain points. How are they going to be addressed? And I just spoke to him like I was having that live consultation. And I went through it and I said, well, let's see how this goes. Put it out there. And that one video, within about 3 months, I started getting calls from it, specifically people referring through our intake. They referred specifically to that video. Who's the guy on that YouTube video? I want to talk to him. Right. Well, now 3 years later, we've been able to track $650,000 off of one video, because what we do, average case value of about $10,000 for a aggravated assault deadly weapon. And we've had at least 65, as far as attribution, as far as we know, 65 cases that have signed up from that one video. Because the beauty about YouTube, and I did not really even know it at the time, sometimes you're too dumb you just get lucky, right? Is when you start doing it, they're evergreen. Right? So when you put out a video and you optimize it right, you do the SEO piece on this. YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world, right behind Google. So as a result of that, if you learn how to do this, it's like trying to rank on page 1 for regular Google, but there's only 3 other law firms trying to do it. right? You're going to rank if you just get out there and you start putting in the effort. So that's what led on my journey on that. And what happened was it fundamentally transformed my business, because when I started doing these videos, I just said, let's do one a week. Let's go through my practice areas under the 80-20 principle. What is the 20% of my practice areas that make me 80% of my revenues? I'm going to double down on those videos, and they're going to be based on FAQs from all the clients that I know that I've dealt with and my staff and everything else. And you just start putting them out there. And here's a simple thing you can do. You can then go to the keyword planner through Google, do a search, and you can find out what are the high volume search terms for your area and for that particular practice area. You can optimize them with tags, your titles, your descriptions. And once you start figuring out how this works, all of a sudden you'll do a search. And not only do you come up on YouTube searches, you come up on Google searches, because Google owns YouTube. And now your video shows up on those longer tail keyword searches. And now all of a sudden we started getting calls. And let me just say this, I get at least a 25% higher conversion rate on video calls than I do on ads or any organic.
You know why I think you knew that, Jeff? Because they already feel like they know you, they like you, they trust you. You know what I'm saying? That makes common sense.
That's right. 100%. And that's what changed for me, is to say, look, we already know this. Video converts much better than written text, right? And if we already know video converts, then I started repurposing that content, did it in two different ways. So the first thing I did is I started putting some of those videos on my website. So that way, when people came to the site, the on-time page, the dwelling on the time went up. I didn't have as high of a bounce rate, because when people would go to that page, they'd watch the video because it's there and it's covering shoplifting or it's covering an aggravated assault. But the second thing I would do is repurpose the same content I've already done. I want to leverage what my efforts are, repurpose them on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And now, without ever creating a custom video at all. For TikTok, I've got 10,000 followers. That's monetized. I get calls that come in from TikTok, because TikTok is heavily used by the younger generation, even more so than Google now. And so it becomes one of those things where you can really start to leverage and see a multiplier effect take place.
Yeah. And let me get this. I talked to you before we started, and you say you're not spending any money on actually paying Google or YouTube ad spend.
Zero. I have never run one ad whatsoever. You ever seen channels like you can go to a channel and it looks like somebody has like 500,000 subscribers, but then when you actually go to their videos, it looks like they got like 400 views. And you're like, how's that possible? How can a guy with 500,000 subscribers? That's an example of someone that's been running a bunch of ads. And you can get a lot of eyeballs. And I'm not necessarily against ads, but YouTube's been clear. I'm a part of their partner program. Once you reach a certain level, they'll also invite you into their YouTube partner program. And once you're in it, they've been upfront with me. Hey, look, if you run ads on the same channel that you have a lot of organic presence in, it'll depress the organic reach, because we want to make more money on your ads, right? That's what we're looking to do. So you separate those out. But I have yet to run a single ad on YouTube. Why? I get 150 calls a month for my channel right now, all organic. And here's the great thing, Ken, 15 million views a month, 98% of those are what are known as suggested videos and browse feature videos. That means the algorithm is the one pushing it out to people. It's finding the audience. I'm not having to go search it out. I'm not paying it. The YouTube algorithm says this is great content, got a good title, a good thumbnail. It's pushing it out to those audiences.
And so have you found a sweet spot on, you call them long, but you were talking about 10 minutes. I mean, I've seen some YouTube guys that do like 30 minutes, an hour. I mean, do you kind of keep them under a certain amount of time, or?
That's a really great question. So the first thing I recommend people do is, for me, my sweet spot usually, as I put together videos, runs between 10 and probably 17 minutes. But I've been doing this now for a little bit, and I kind of have a feel for what works, or some gut of what works and what doesn't. But let me tell you, when you first start, it's not about how long it is. It's about making sure that you're giving tremendous value. Give away all your secrets. Attorneys have too much of an idea of thinking, well, if I share all this stuff, then they won't pay me. No. You can share enough where they go, my goodness, man, I didn't even know this. If he's willing to share that with me, I need to call this guy because he's the guy I want to work with.
Yep.
It happens every day. Too many attorneys put that information behind a paywall, and then they never get to monetize it. They don't make any money off of it. Whereas what I do is I lay it all out there. So that's why I tell, when I have an opportunity to consult with attorneys, one of the things I tell them is I say, look, go narrow first. Cover your practice area stuff. It's okay that you don't get tons of views. You don't have to go viral. You just need the right kind of views. You need the right eyeballs on your content. Once you exhaust all of that, and you literally, I went almost 100 videos in of just narrow content. And it only got me to like 8 to 10,000 subscribers. But then once I got to that place, I was still getting 60 to 80 calls a month. I mean, just with that limited reach, because they were the right people looking for it. Then you can go broader. Here's what you do. When you go broad, you start narrow. Then once you go broad, you take, what is my expertise? I'm great at criminal law. I understand constitutional rights. I know what to do in an interaction with the law enforcement. And then I take pop culture. And then I say, what is it in the middle that highlights my expertise, but also hits a little bit of pop culture? And then I put it out. And that's when you start seeing, I have a few videos, 5 million views. One of them got 5 million views. It's a 20-minute long video, 5 million views, and it was launched at the end of January. Have some other ones that are anywhere between 1 million to 2 million views over the last 4 to 6 months that have been launched. And then you're growing your brand. Now, I tell people, you don't grow your brand first. The first thing you need to do is just get out your stuff, get your content out, your narrow content, so you grow money. You want to grow your revenue. Then you can talk about growing your brand as you expand out. And then when you grow your brand, guess what happens? You get calls from local news stations. You get other people who want to now feature you because they're like, this guy is the authority on this stuff. Let's call him. Let's get him in. And then you're able to expand that out and be able to literally, you become the go-to on YouTube for anybody related to criminal defense or that issue.
I'm sure there's a lot of tips and tricks of the trade. Like, you know this 100 times better than I do, but isn't there a thing like if you get 100 followers or subscribers or get 1,000 that you get to put something at the top of your YouTube channel or something? I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, if you get 100,000 subscribers, you get one of these, right? So you get one of these things, which it's not that it matters, but it's a little plaque that says you've passed 100,000 subscribers. And you do, look, it does establish authority. If you look at a video from somebody who has 100,000 subscribers and 1 million views, just because of social proof, you're 10 times more likely to watch that video than somebody with 100 subscribers and 5 views. It's just the way it is. But I remind people, don't chase views. Some people do not define your channel by how many views you get. You need to define your channel by the right kind of people watching your content. And so what I want is to lay out my customer avatar. I want to sit down and say, I want my customer avatar to be in alignment with my viewer avatar on YouTube. And when I put this content out, here's a cheat code you can do on this. Go through your comments, copy all of your comments, because I'll have videos that get 10,000 comments, 2,000 comments. Take them and put them in ChatGPT and prompt ChatGPT to give you the viewer sentiment. What are the main points the viewers were asking questions about, and what recommendations would be made for future videos based on their comments? And what happens is, boy, you get a wealth of knowledge about ways to create more and more content related to what your viewers are looking for. I also run polls. Why not run a poll on your channel? What do you guys want to know more about? What are some recent questions you had issues about? These are things where you want to elicit that feedback from your viewers so that you have an idea of what's going on in their head, because it comes down to the psychology of the click. What's getting them to click and watch?
Right, right. Yeah, because I would think after, you said you did, your first 100 videos. I know this with Pilma. I mean, I do a lot of videos, and give a lot of tips. And after a while, I say, man, I'm kind of running out of stuff, without repeating myself. After about 2 years, I'm about, it's kind of tough. So that's a good tip on using ChatGPT. I think that's the way it should be used. I think using ChatGPT to actually write your content, whether it be script or whatever, is not good. I think they need to give you the outline of what you ought to be talking about, or, and then you need to put it in your own words. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong.
I agree with you on that too. Sometimes you can kind of tell it's the way that ChatGPT will write content, and it doesn't know the law like a good lawyer. The lawyer is pulling from good case law. You can contextualize it. And that stuff can be exposed on YouTube. People can tell when they look at that, and it's not done well. Yeah. But I agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, you put together this. Let me give you an example. You'll never run out of content, Ken. Let me give you an example on this. Here's one way to do this. I thought that way too after my first 100 videos. Then I started thinking search and seizure. So an example, my most recent video, how to handle cops if they want to search your gun case. 3 videos before then, how to handle cops or how to stop cops from searching your gun case. Different case law, different examples. So what you do is you take a concept, which is like the single purpose exception to the Fourth Amendment, right? That's a concept, but I would never call it that. Instead, I say, what is the wrapper that I need to put this legal concept in that will intrigue people and create curiosity for making them click? So I'm going to give you a cheat code on this as lawyers. As a lawyer, look at your caseload. Your case law. All case law is based on facts. What was the fact that seemed interesting to you that other people would find interest in, and create the title and thumbnail around that fact, and then fold in the case law into those facts. And you'll have people watching your stuff like crazy.
And I would think, I know people listen to this because I know I got a different way of doing it. I've got somebody in Pakistan that does all my editing, and does my thumbnails, but I just go to a studio and just cut for like an hour. I kind of take down notes for a month and then go in there and pop out some content. But I would think that's going to be the big deal. I know lawyers, I know at our masterminds that, it's like they say, a lot of great ideas, Ken, but, we don't got so many hours in a day, and we got to run this, and we got to go try cases, and we got to do this and got to do that. And that's just not our deal. So what do you tell those lawyers?
That's a great question. So what we do at YouTube RainMakers as part of our kind of a production group that we have is, I'm running 3 channels. I don't want to spend all my time running 3 channels. Number one, you want to have a team. I don't create all my own titles and thumbnails. You need to have somebody creating those that knows what they're doing on that. But secondly, I don't want to have to create new videos every week. What I want to do is get a batch group of content. So what you want to do is have 4 video ideas that you're going to do for the whole month. You already have them scripted out. You sit down and record them at one time, and you don't record again for another month.
Okay.
I don't create custom shorts. Now, some people think that is that maybe is a mistake, but I don't always have time for it. What I do is I have my team cut up the best parts of my longer videos and cut them into shorts and then post them. And even still, some of my shorts get millions and millions of views. And you got to remember what the purpose of a short is. YouTube's been very clear. Shorts are designed to be bridge content. They create awareness, and then you want to point them to your longer video. That's what you want to do. So where people kill their channels is if they create all this goofy dancing around short stuff, and it has nothing to do with their actual long form content for their business. And just because they want to chase those views, well, not all subscribers are worth having. If you've got subscribers that only want to see entertainment, but you're really pushing your business, they're never going to care about your business content. You want to make sure that you're attracting both the right types of viewers from both content.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. It's just amazing to me that you discovered this, because when I talk to most lawyers, they're doing YouTube shorts and they're buying ads. That's what they're doing, just to be honest.
And I completely agree. And here's the thing, Ken, I purposed from the very beginning to say, I don't want to create a false sense of this working. So from my perspective on it from the very beginning, I decided I'm going to go organic, and I'm going to see, the great thing, it's a meritocracy on YouTube. If you provide good content, the algorithm will push your content out to other people. But what most attorneys, I'm going to tell you right now, I bet you've even got some people in your mastermind that do YouTube, and I bet they provide great content. But where most attorneys fail is they put no time or effort into their title and thumbnail. If you do not care about your packaging, you could have the greatest content in the world and no one will ever click. So where it really transformed for me is to really dive deep into the psychology of the click. What makes people click on content? Because you got to remember, people are looking at thousands of videos. You get on YouTube just scrolling. If you don't get something to grab somebody's attention, it doesn't matter how good your content is. No one will ever see it.
Yeah, it's like subject lines for emails to get open, and it's also like headlines. If you ain't got a great headline, something that I call it a hook.
Yep.
Something that makes, what you got 2-3 seconds, catch them.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. And there's ways to do it.
There is. And not every attorney, and that's the thing. That's one, I think there's been a little bit of a gap in the industry where there's a lot of people providing SEO and ads for lawyers, but there's really not good people that help provide guidance on how to do the right way on YouTube, because the main reason why people don't success on YouTube is they quit.
Yeah.
See, I just chose I'm not going to quit. If it took me 3 years to figure it out, I will not quit. And then over time, you start to learn. And then the great thing is, like in anything else in life, when you learn a little bit, you double down and you start seeing exponential increases, right?
So I would think that it's sort of like SEO. You're not going to throw it out there and become an overnight success. It's going to take some time to build authority and followers and different things, subscribers. It takes a little time. It ain't a magic wand that you wave and put one up there and then you're a star.
That is correct. I will tell you this though. I started getting calls. If you optimize your content for SEO, if you know how to do it on YouTube, because there's so few lawyers doing it, if you optimize it properly locally, you can do it for Texas law or whatever you like. For me, what you'll find is you will start getting calls within a few months. I started getting calls on YouTube videos that I did in about 3 months for both channels. For both channels that I started, even the one that's really small still, that's less than 4,000 subscribers, because there's so very few professional service businesses, including lawyers, that are doing this. So there's less fish in the pool, in the pond here, so you can make an impact quicker when it comes to search and being found for those that have that immediate problem.
Yeah.
So
good deal. So any other words of wisdom?
Well, I mean, look, one of the things, the number one thing that I hear people say and they complain about on this is that I'm not good on camera, right? Or I'm not good on video. Here's the advice I want to give to people who feel that way. First of all, no one cares about how good or bad you look on camera as much as you think they do. Number two, they're not really scrutinizing you as much as you think they are. Number two, if you don't feel comfortable doing longer videos, do 60-second or less shorts. Just do shorter content. Here's the great thing. When you start doing about 10 to 20 of those, you'll go, okay, I can do that. You'll feel a little bit better. It'll build your confidence. Here's the magic thing I have found. Let's say you do 20 of them, you launch them. You're going to find 2 or 3 of them that do way better than the other 17.
Right.
And then you'll go, okay, those are my first 3 long form videos right there. I'm going to expand on those 3 and I'm going to do a longer one. And I have a little bit more confidence because I had, a couple thousand people look at those particular ones, and you'll start seeing a little bit of subscribers. You'll start seeing a little people start kind of come on, and you'll start getting a little bit of growth. And then once you get started and you get your first phone call and you find out you closed it at a 25% higher rate than your normal calls, then you get bit by the bug. You won't stop. You'll continue to do it. And it can be an element of your marketing where if you batch record, it's only 1 day a month, and the ROI on it is exponential compared to what you had to put into it.
Yeah, that's great. So if somebody wants to learn more, pick your brain or whatever, or I know you got a course you told me you were working on that's going to launch in November. How can I get up with you, Jeff?
So you can hit me up on LinkedIn. If you look up Jeff Hampton, you'll find me there. You can message me. You can also go to YouTube RainMakers.com, or feel free to reach out to me individually, Jeff at fhlawgroup.com, one of my email addresses. I love talking YouTube, and I love nothing more than to see other attorneys start to transform their practice, because there's a lot of down attorneys out there in the market today that are just feeling like they don't really have a shot at things. You can be a little guy and compete against the big guys doing this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's not that expensive if you don't have to buy ads. You can use overseas people to do like I do, I pay them $1,000 a month.
Let me tell you something. So even now, I have editors. The first 100 videos I did, I hired a guy from Afghanistan on Fiverr. He did basic captions. We're not Mr. Beast here. We're not creating entertainment videos. We're getting out educational information, and maybe later it turns into edutainment a little bit, but primarily it's educational information that you just need basic captions. You don't need high level stuff here. And so anybody can get started. You've got YT Jobs, which is youtubejobs.com. You can easily find editors there, or Fiverr. There are ways that you can get yourself set up. Very simple.
Great. Well, listen, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the show. And until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.